This is a paid advertisement. The opinions and views expressed belong solely to Farah Farah and not to Action News Jax, its employees, agents, representatives, or affiliates. This program is informational only and does not comprise legal advice. The airing of this segment is neither an endorsement nor an expression of an opinion of any kind by Action News Jax. This is Legal Live, sponsored by Farah Farah, local lawyers unfiltered.
And welcome to Legal Live, a show aimed at helping you and me and everybody understand legal issues that are affecting our lives. I'm your host, Action News Jax Becker. I'd like to welcome in at this time the most famous legal minds in all of Florida, and all the Southeast, and all the United States, and all the world, and all of the universe. Chuck and Eddie Farah, law firm of Farah Farah. How you guys doing?
Good. Love you live here.
Huh?
Hey, who came up with that disclaimer? Was that you, Ben? Sounds like something you would write up.
No, that's beyond me.
Yeah.
That's the other lawyers.
Okay, I don't know, man. I got some sharp lawyers drawing those things up.
If people
I need to hire those guys.
If people only knew what we talk about offset, we were talking about wrestling before even we started here. Famous wrestler, your most favorite wrestler of all time.
Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty. Yeah, Big Dust.
So,
son of a plumber.
Son of a plumber.
Right.
The bionic elbow and hard times.
Hard times.
We talked about the hard times.
Yeah, Chuck,
hard times with Dusty Rhodes.
My favorite wrestler is probably, I'd have to say, maybe the Iranian Sheik.
Really? That's old school.
Yeah, that is.
All right. So, guys, that's a lot of ground we've covered before. Now we have new ground. All right.
Yep.
All right. So let's hop right in. So first off, this has been a big story. Of course, we've been talking about this for weeks now. The spread of the coronavirus is a concern, especially for travelers. Now, what is the liability and responsibility for airlines?
There is responsibility. There's liability and responsibility. Federal law requires the airlines to police the airplane to make sure that everybody's okay. And if they feel someone is suffering from a disease, such as the coronavirus, then they've got to take action. They're supposed to isolate that person on the airplane. They're supposed to keep them 6 feet away from everybody else.
But how are you going to do that?
In an airplane these days, I don't know how you're going to keep them 6 feet away. They're supposed to. And upon arriving, if they're coming from out of the country, they've got to notify the CDC that we got somebody on board that's got a communicable disease, and they've got to act upon it. But they're also supposed to keep like one person on the airplane designated for that person. They're supposed to hand out masks and just take all precautions, make everybody wash hands and have some disinfectant around. But it seems like...
how do they identify the person?
Well, that's the thing, too. How do you figure that out?
They have a list of signs. If someone's got a persistent cough, for instance, is not getting better, they got the symptoms. I mean, whatever the symptoms are of that illness, they've got it written down. And if they see it, then they've got to act upon it. I mean, a passenger sitting next to the person could say, hey, the guy's been coughing for 10 minutes. I mean, that would alert them.
I could say that about you, and just because I don't like you.
You could.
I can just try to get you thrown off the plane.
Or to get a free, an empty seat next to
get a free vodka or something. I mean, how do they know I'm telling the truth?
Well, I mean, they've got to depend on the people. They've got to depend on the people on the airplane. But the federal law requires them to take certain types of action. Like I said, separate them. Give them a mask. They have masks on board. Those,
You think that drop that we don't pay attention to?
Yeah, not those kind of masks. The other kind of masks that keep it.
So Chuck, can I sue the airline?
I think there is some responsibility. I think you can sue the airline, but it's going to come back to, can you connect your illness to one of the passengers on that plane? And so I guess it's kind of a circumstantial evidence type thing that there were 10 people on board that were coughing and had these issues, and then shortly thereafter the passenger gets the same type of condition, and then I guess you can prove it that
the
way.
airline can't insure your health. I mean, they've got to take precautions. If they don't take the precautions, you have to be able to link the fact that they did not take precautions to your illness. I mean, somebody could walk in and cough, and you're there. Nothing they can do about it.
Right.
I mean, it just happened. I mean, you can't sue them for that.
I mean, but 2 weeks later, I get sick. I mean, how can I pinpoint where
it's
it's
really
hard?
difficult. Yeah, it's difficult because you have to be able to connect what they did not do to the fact that you became ill. And that's going to be a hard connection. That could be very difficult because if I'm the airline, I would argue, well, I don't know. I mean, he may have coughed on you when you walked in together.
Unless you can show the ventilation system's defective or something, then you can have more evidence. But yeah, it's very difficult.
It's hard to go after the airlines too, right?
Yeah, they got some. Yeah, it is. There's a whole different set of rules and regulations to deal with them, but these are the federal regulations that deal with sick people on an airplane.
Okay.
They're quite extensive. They're on the internet. You can look it up, and it tells you what the airlines are required to do.
Speaking of airlines and internet or the interwebs, the book face, the Twitter, you have all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, all that, right? Yeah. So did you see that thing with the guy was punching the seat of that woman?
I did see
that.
that.
She kind of reclined back. I don't believe we had the video, but everyone's seen it, right? It's ingrained in your head right now. So could she go after him for some sort of injuries? Could there be an assault and battery here?
It's an intentional act on his part. He's hitting the chair. I don't know what kind of injury she's. If she has a physical injury, she could sue for emotional distress.
Emotional distress. Whiplash.
Intentional infliction of emotional distress.
Right.
Whiplash. Maybe her neck snapped back and forth. Mm-hmm. Maybe she has a head injury from it. Who knows?
Is it frivolous?
I don't know if it's frivolous. I think it's frivolous. I think maybe if she has an injury. If you're injured, it's not frivolous. People think. What's a frivolous lawsuit? A frivolous lawsuit has no basis,
I think the emotional distress, there's an impact, so to speak. The chair, him hitting the chair is causing her to be impacted physically, which may give rise to some emotional distress. Who knows? You take her as you find her. She may be very frightened of flying, and all this added, pounding of the chair just adds to it.
Let me ask you, all right, where are you on this? Do you recline your chair, yes or no?
I do recline my chair.
You do?
I pay for
so
the
you're
chair.
that person?
You got to.
Really?
Everybody reclines.
Chuck, about you?
Oh, yes, I do.
You're the recliners.
Yeah.
I don't.
Wow.
I think it's not. It's a little rude.
Yeah.
It's a little rude.
Really?
Yes, it is. Yes. I don't want that someone to do that to me.
What if the person behind you is recliner?
Huh?
What if the person behind you is reclining?
Well, the recliner has nothing to do with me.
But it gives them more room.
Yeah, maybe, but if that was the case, maybe I'm gonna look around and check it out, what's going on. But other than that, maybe an inch. That's it.
Well,
it's too tight in there. You get like 30 inches, 35 inches.
They only give you about an inch on the reclining anyway. It ain't much more than.
You're not getting. Well, what I'm saying overall, the space. You're not getting much. I don't do that. I'm surprised at you two. I'm disappointed.
No, you're making me think now. Maybe I should reconsider.
Flying. Listen, when you're on a 5-hour flight to the West Coast, you want to get as much room as you can. You want to recline a little bit.
Okay.
But anyway.
All right, more serious subject here. All right, now we all know what happened recently, the helicopter crash that claimed the life of Kobe Bryant, his daughter, and 7 others. Now, there will be likely lawsuits in this case. Now, a similar situation could be someone suing you who gets hurt in your car during a crash. So how do you protect yourself?
Right. Well, we've talked about this. We have a radio show on Saturday, the Consumer Law Hour. This is a question that comes up almost every week. And what we've advised people to do, and what I've done for myself and my household, I put everybody's car in their own individual name. So if you have kids in your house, even if they're on your insurance policy, you can load up your insurance policy. You can have your wife, your kids, your aunts, your cousins, everybody on the policy. What you need to look at is the ownership of the vehicle. If the car's only in your child's name, for instance, and he causes an accident, they cannot touch anything that's in your name. But if your name is on that vehicle with your child and he causes an accident, they're going to come after you. And your assets and your property is all at stake in that situation.
It all comes down to ownership. Everybody thinks, he's on my policy, my insurance policy. Doesn't matter. The first thing you look to is if a lawyer is trying to pursue a case, they'll look who owns the car. Who's on the title.
Yeah.
So the title is the key thing.
It is.
And for husband and wife, you put one car in the wife's name, one car in the husband's name. If the husband causes an accident, they cannot touch anything that's in joint names. If the wife causes an accident, she's in her car, they cannot go after anything in the joint names of the husband and wife. There's tenancy by the entirety. It gives you immunity from any type of lawsuit.
Let me get a clarification here. So I have a car, my wife has a car.
Right.
So one car is in my name, one car is in her name. For insurance purposes, can we have joint insurance, or the insurance has to be separate too?
You can have whoever you want. You can put them all on one policy. Doesn't make a difference.
Okay, so we have joint insurance.
Yeah, joint
but
insurance.
As long as the cars are in separate names,
yes,
they can't come after me.
Correct.
Unless you're driving her car.
Yeah.
Right. As a driver, you may have some liability.
But you're driving your car, and let's say you, God forbid, you hurt somebody and it's $1 million claim. You only have a $100,000 policy. Well, they could come after you for the other $900,000. Right. This lady's got medical bills, but whatever you have in you and your wife's name together, they cannot touch. It's tenancy by the entirety. They cannot get at it. Okay. That's how people protect their assets. But to protect your assets, you got to have it in tenancy by the entirety, and you got to have the cars in individual names. So there's 2 things you got to do.
Well, that's pretty scary.
Yes, because people in this day and age, as you know, you go to the emergency room for a little minor accident, I mean, you've run up a $10,000 bill right there. And who knows what's going to happen after that.
Especially with teenagers, and everybody thinks, oh, I don't want to put it in his name. I bought the car for him. Well, the smart thing to do is to put it in separate names.
You mentioned doctors. That's important because you could win a personal injury lawsuit, but sometimes it could actually be the doctor who wins. So talk about a medical lien as it relates to a personal injury claim.
Yeah, see, a lot of times doctors work on what they call letters of protection. And the law in Florida is getting very strict when it comes to that. Let's say you make a settlement and you owe the doctor money and the doctor asked you to sign a letter of protection. You got to pay the doctor. And the lawyer cannot, a lot of times the client says, well, give me the money, I'll go talk to the doctor and work out the bills, or I'll pay the doctor for my money. Can't do it. If you've signed a letter of protection, then you've got to hold that money back to pay the doctor. Now, if you feel the doctor's overcharged or maybe his bill's out of line, you have to deposit that money in the court and ask the judge to determine what the reasonable amount of that bill is.
One step further is even if your health insurance makes payments to the doctor, then the health insurance carrier may have a lien against anything you collect from an at-fault party, because the theory is that you collected those bills from the at-fault party and you can't make a double recovery. You can't have your health insurance pay the bills and then also the victim collect the bills from the at-fault driver.
So how common is this?
Oh, it's very common.
Almost every case.
Really?
Every case. So you've got to, you have to protect the health insurance company. They have a right of reimbursement because they paid the medical bills. And the doctor who has a letter of protection. And I'll tell you, it's getting to a point in Florida now, correct me if I'm wrong, even if there's no written letter of protection, a lot of doctors are still.
And there's an argument, there's an implied lien because they actually treated the client and helped him recover from the at-fault party. And so there is a line of cases there that say that it's an implied lien.
What percent are we talking about, cut of the settlement?
Oh, well, it depends how much treatment there is. I mean, it depends what the doctor, that's why sometimes people want to deal with the bills themselves because depending on the settlement amount, they may not have gotten as much as they thought, or maybe why is the doctor getting all this money? I'm the one who was injured. So, most doctors are willing to negotiate those bills at the end, but sometimes they don't, and sometimes the clients don't want to pay them, and so you've got to take that money, deposit it into the registry of the court, and ask the judge to figure it out.
Okay. Speaking of money, all right, we're going to talk money. Facebook has agreed to pay $550 million. This is that's what you make a year, isn't it?
Yeah,
about $550?
Yeah.
Give or take a mil?
Give or take. I'm not,
right? All right, so it's a class action lawsuit.
I'm not keeping track right now.
Right, okay. You lose track, you burn it.
I'm just doing it because I want to do this.
That's right. This is for fun.
It's for fun.
Of course.
He's here to make friends now.
Yeah, that's right. So it's a facial recognition technology lawsuit. Now, how concerning are the social networks' data mining practices for you guys being attorneys?
Yeah. The case you're talking about is there's a law, I don't have it, but I've dealt with it before because
it's Article 2, Section 3.
It's the Communications Decency Act. And what that act does, it was passed in 1996, it gives Facebook and like Amazon sort of an immunity from these lawsuits because they're claiming they're just the platform. They're not the one, they're not slandering anybody. They're not depicting someone in a false light.
But Facebook's paying up on this one.
Are they paying? I don't know if they are. Well, you know what? Sometimes they'll pay up some because they don't want to make bad law. They want to.
We're talking $550 million.
On this, say Facebook?
Yeah, that's what I just said. Bring it back. Bring that story back. I'm going to read it one more time.
Because
I thought it was still pending, but
maybe
right
here,
there are other
Facebook has
lawsuits.
agreed to pay $550 million to settle a class action lawsuit.
Facial recognition.
Why didn't you have this case?
I know that's really you're right.
So
this is a different matter I was talking about.
So you say what?
Well, I'm not familiar with that. I thought the issue.
This is the one in Illinois.
I thought this was the actress that was.
Oh, that's a separate one.
That's a separate. Okay.
Okay.
She was sued for $10 million.
It's another one where they use someone's picture in a porn ad.
Yeah.
Okay. And then she's suing.
Yeah.
And she's trying to work that out. They use your likeness without your consent.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
But that's not the one you're referring to here.
That's what I was talking about. Oh yeah. The class action.
There's no shortage of ones to talk about.
Oh yeah. Listen, I can see that this is different. This has nothing to do with the federal act that was passed in 1996. Yeah, I mean, if they're taking information from you and using it, I mean, I can see it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's almost like a data breach.
It's
people get sued on data breaches all the time. This is the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the same thing. That's not uncommon. But what is interesting is how Facebook has immunity. You know, Amazon, people buy products from Amazon. Most of them are made in China. And let's say it's a defective product and you get hurt from it. You can't sue Amazon because of this
They're like the
communication.
broker. They're not an agent of any
The federal law
sort.
gives them immunity. So you buy something off Amazon, it's defective, you get hurt, you really have no cause of action against Amazon,
So
even though they sold it to you. Now, if you bought it from, let's say, a Walmart, because they're in the stream of commerce, even though Walmart did not manufacture the product, Walmart is responsible for it.
You know, Walmart
Okay.
missed earnings today, by the way.
Wow.
Stock's down. Could be a big buy for you.
I think, listen, Amazon's killing everybody, you know that.
That's not news to me. Every stock I have is down, it seems.
The stock market's almost at 30,000, man.
I'm still down.
You need a financial advisor.
You want to make money, buy the stocks I don't have.
Okay.
That's how you're going to make. I'm going to give you the best stock.
There's some good financial advice. Hey,
But you go ahead. But
Well,
I thought,
yeah,
no,
this
but I
is
just
something-
thought-
yeah,
go ahead.
what?
Well, I just think this thing
said-
is interesting about the product's liability. People being injured by products in Florida. You know, how do you go after a company that's in China? But if you're in the stream of commerce, if you're putting something in the stream of commerce, you're responsible, even though you didn't make it.
Right.
But Amazon doesn't have that responsibility. But go ahead.
How was your Valentine's Day?
It was all right.
Yeah?
I don't really get into it.
No,
I mean,
how-
it's not a big
no,
deal.
how about you?
When you're my
It was
age,
all right,
things
huh?
are, you know.
No, what? Really? You
Married-
didn't buy the
married.
missus and get her any bling?
No, I mean, you know,
No?
I think the kids bought her something.
Really? Oh, gee, man, well, you're something else. You know, Valentine's Day has come and gone, right?
Yeah.
You may have gotten your sweetheart, well, not you guys, but clearly someone with a heart got their loved ones an engagement ring, maybe, right?
Oh, yeah.
A nice bracelet, an anklet, perhaps, right? Some nice earrings, right? But what if the relationship doesn't work out? Okay, if it's an engagement, or what happens with all that? Can you get your jewelry back?
In Florida, you probably can. It's because it's all, if you give someone in Florida, and I'll tell you, each state is different, but in Florida, if you give your loved one an engagement ring and it doesn't work out, you get that ring back because that ring was given to her on the condition that you were getting married.
So it's not a gift.
It's not a gift. Now, of course, you could maybe argue, if you maybe received it at Christmas or like you see on Valentine's Day, maybe you could argue it was a gift, just a gift, like you would give anybody a gift. But generally, engagement rings come back to the donor.
In Florida.
In Florida, if it doesn't work out. Now, there was a case in Florida where this lady moved in with her 3 kids into this guy's house. He gives her an engagement ring, and then one thing led to another, and they broke up. He wants the ring back. He's the one who broke off the relationship, and he wanted the ring back, and the court said, hey, in Florida now, you can consider who broke up the relationship when it comes to getting the ring back. So the law is not clear cut, but generally, it goes back to the donor.
Wow. Would you take the ring back? Would you ask
Of
for the ring?
course, man.
You would. Damn.
Why would she want the ring?
Because it's
a reminder.
It's beautiful because you bought her a beautiful ring.
But it's probably a reminder. I mean, every time she sees it, she's
no, it won't be about you, Chuck. It's not about you, man. Huh? It's not about you, Eddie. It's not about
It
you.
is
It's
about
about
me.
the ring. It's about the bling. All right. Hey, we have questions.
about my financial situation.
Well, for all of us. Okay, so we have viewer questions. Is it possible to evict an adult child in their 30s from a home if the parent is afraid of the child?
Yeah, I mean,
I think so.
You can Baker Act the child. If the child is a danger to other people, if you're afraid of him, it could be a danger. If the child is a danger to you or to himself, you can have that person Baker Acted. Yes.
If the person owns the home and, or has a lease for the home and they're living there, I think they can legally evict them.
Well,
There's a process. And then Eddie says if they're a harm to themselves or someone else, they can Baker Act. But
even if they're over 18, I mean, do you need a reason?
No, you don't. They're a tenant like anyone else. They have no right to be there if their name's not on the deed.
I mean, you're 18 or older, you're off the payroll.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you're off the payroll, but if your name's on the deed, it's a different story. But if you're not on the deed, they're a tenant at will, like any other tenant, and you can evict them.
But you have to do a legal proceeding to do it.
Yeah, you can give them 30 days notice to get out.
You can't just take their stuff and throw it out on the front lawn.
Oh, you could.
Is that legal?
It's
Could
your
you
house.
do that?
Yeah, they don't have that person who's there doesn't have a lease. They're just living there. They're like a squatter almost.
Wow.
Yeah.
You could throw a squatter out. You could take their stuff, toss it out front, and ask somebody to come help your kids out the door.
They may need some relationship counseling.
Get Joe Pesci or somebody to help them.
Joe Pesci.
Get them out at the door.
Is this a joke? Is this funny to you? All right. Hey, how about this one? Is it illegal to have your Wi-Fi name as FBI surveillance? Is that considered impersonating law enforcement? How about that?
There could be an issue with that. I can't tell you for sure, but I think there is probably an issue with using the FBI in your Wi-Fi name.
Why would I do that? I don't know why. Yeah. I like to know why someone would do it. Just because, I guess.
I think
well,
because
I've seen FBI on T-shirts and stuff like that.
Right.
I mean, it's
Yeah, but
it's different stuff. People have different.
Yeah. Could you be in trouble or not?
I don't think. I think if you wear it on a T-shirt or something, I mean, who cares?
But for this, you're okay?
Huh? No, I don't agree
You're
with
not
that.
okay.
You know what?
I don't think so.
I don't know if
Not
they'll let you do it.
Yeah?
You mean like on your Wi-Fi?
Yeah, on your Wi-Fi. Your Wi-Fi address.
Yeah, I think you can make your Wi-Fi address anything.
Anything?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
I don't think so. It just asks you for a.
Well, your Wi-Fi address, are you saying that, let's say mine's cfarah at farahandfarah.com.
Right.
If I went cfarah at fbi.com and I send that out to people, they think I'm...
But this is Wi-Fi. This is like in your house. You have a passcode to get into your house.
Oh, okay. Well, I agree with... I think that's okay, because that's a
Mhm.
personal thing. It's not being, sent out to others to... like you're impersonating the FBI in any way.
Let's move on. So is it legal to conceal carry in a hazmat vehicle in Florida? Is it legal to conceal carry in a hazmat vehicle in Florida? What do you think, guys?
Wait a minute.
Hazmat vehicle.
Yeah, hazmat vehicle.
Why would it make a difference in a hazmat vehicle?
I don't know.
If you have the right... I mean, you don't have to...
It's a viewer question here.
Yeah.
I think it's a concealed carry. Is there limits or exceptions for hazmats?
A hazmat vehicle.
There are, there are rules that different rules deal with concealed carry. It's not like a blank check.
Sure, you can't conceal carry on like school grounds.
Yeah.
Right?
Or for instance, we had a question that come up the other day where somebody had to conceal. Listen, I've got a felon. I'm a felon. I'm a convicted felon. My wife has can't hold firearms.
Right.
I'm a convicted felon. My wife wants to purchase a firearm. Can I have it in the house with me? Even though I'm a convicted felon.
And what's the answer on that one?
You can.
You can?
But the right thing to do is to have, because it's her firearm, but she should have it under lock and key to where he doesn't have access to
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
How about this one? This is pretty interesting. So my name and my ex-husband's name are on the deed to our house. What happens to the house when one of us passes away?
It depends on how it's deeded, how it's listed on the deed. If it's if they purchase it together as husband and wife, I mean, did they purchase it before they were married? It's one thing. But if they purchased it as husband and wife, as tenants by the entirety, it will go to the other party upon the death of
It's marital asset.
Yeah, it'll go automatically to the other side without probate.
Right.
Well, that question seems to say that if they're divorced, but they keep both names on the house.
Right.
When one dies, it's 50% is going to go to the opposing, to the ex-husband or ex-wife.
Right.
50% goes to the estate of the spouse that passed away.
And that would go to a family member or whatever at that point.
If they keep it in both names.
The closest living relative.
But there's the argument that if they are divorced and the house is still in the name, then if I'm making the mortgage payment and you still own half of it, why aren't you making half the mortgage payment?
Right.
But at the same rate, how come I'm not paying you rent? So there's some offsets that go into that once you're divorced and the house is in both names.
Okay. So can you file a personal injury lawsuit if you're renting a condo with mold?
Well,
how about this one?
Okay, we get these calls.
There's got to be injury. There could be mold, but are you suffering from a physical ailment?
Well, let's say you are, right? You're claiming there's a personal injury from the mold. Maybe the mold was painted over, you didn't realize it.
Okay.
I don't know.
If you have an injury, most of the injuries we've seen on the mold, once they get out of the environment, the injury goes away. Now, under Florida, we don't do real estate work, we're a personal injury firm, but under the Landlord Tenant Act in Florida, if you feel your house is not habitable, you can take that rent. There's a process to go through, and the clerk of the court will walk you through it. You go to the clerk's office, you deposit the rent there, and the judge determines if the landlord is entitled to the money or not, because of the mold issue.
Not habitable.
Yeah. Okay. So they have recourse.
They have recourse.
Okay.
If the landlord is not going to take care of it and do what's right, then you would follow the statute and go down to the clerk's office and file it.
I mean, obviously, if you see mold on the wall and you're starting to feel problems from it, physical problems, then you have a duty to mitigate your damages and leave the area. You can't just sit in there and get sick. I mean, So
you got to do something
you
about it.
got to do something about it.
Okay. So how about this one? So if a MHP, has a government housing complex, has a nuisance lien from the city, yet they have done nothing to improve the quality of life or fix lien issues, do the residents have any standing? So let me read this one more time. So if a MHP has a nuisance lien from the city, yet they have done nothing to improve the quality of life or fix lien issues, do the residents have any standing?
Yeah. Again, that's a
What say you?
That's a landlord-tenant type issue, which I don't know too much about, but I know a little bit about it. Again, I think I would go back to the Florida statute, the Landlord-Tenant Act, which allows you to, instead of paying rent, but still, okay, let's say you're paying your money to the court, you still don't have a place. You got to have a habitable place to live.
Right.
So I don't know. It probably gives you a basis to revoke the lease. So you can go somewhere else, take your money and your furniture and go somewhere else.
But will you be able to get a security deposit back?
Yeah, I'm sure.
That?
Oh, yeah.
You
if
could
it's not
try,
habitable-
but
well, I think the court you'd be allowed to, because the landlord breached the contract. You'd be entitled. Why would you not get the security deposit back? That just secures the payment of the rent.
right. But often a landlord possibly could say, "Look, well, you caused this damage or that damage. I'm gonna hold that back from you."
Yeah, that's something
I've never
different.
rented a place in my life where I went there with the expectation of getting my security deposit back.
You're right.
I knew I'd be lucky to get half.
But if you look at Florida law, normal wear and tear does not give them a reason to keep the deposit.
Right, but-
let's say if a place needs painting or the carpet needs cleaning, they're not going to be able to keep your deposit for that.
That could be the case, but we all know you live that life, you walk that aisle, you know that they'll find a way to hold something back sometimes.
Yeah,
Not everybody, don't get me
you can
wrong.
find
Well,
it.
that'll
if you're
happen.
living like Animal House or something
But
like
no,
that.
I'm just
that's
saying,
why.
it's sort of the cost of doing business.
Yeah, well,
It becomes sometimes the cost of doing business.
there-
When
or
you
if
go
you
in
fight
there.
it, you'll win.
Yeah,
because
but
it's
if you
normal
can-
wear and
yeah,
tear.
Yeah, you could try. But then this is the time, the effort, and the money.
But
The
it's
law,
a small,
you probably
it's a
need to
small
file a
claim,
lawsuit.
It's a small claims court action. You're right, Chuck. Some people get worn down. But you can go to small claims court. The clerk will help you file that paperwork. And if you win, which you probably will if it's normal wear and tear,
Right.
you'll get your court costs back, your deposits, and your money.
So you're saying there's some money out there that I should have went
Yes.
after a long time
Oh,
ago.
yeah.
I
You
shouldn't
would've
have.
won
I
it.
shouldn't have just went with
You
it.
should have just given them that money.
Okay.
You got
Man,
it.
should I have money? Can you just help me out then and flip me a few bucks?
I'm almost there for you, Ben.
All right,
I'm
good.
helping sponsor
I-
the show for you, man. That's why
I appreciate
I'm
that.
here.
I appreciate that. All right. So, what is the best way to file a class action lawsuit?
Well,
It depends if it is a class action.
Ooh. Or what do you mean?
Well,
typically, a class action is a case where it encompasses hundreds or thousands of people, and they all have the same type of damage, which means, it's the same amount. For instance, if
Cigarettes or asbestos,
or,
stuff like that.
well, a better one is like, let's say that there is a charge on some phone bill that was an overcharge that shouldn't have been charged, and it was the same, $10 for every person. Well, that's a good example of a case that would be a class action, because it doesn't make sense for one person to sue individually for a $10 overcharge.
But if you have
And so-
500,000 people,
right, then it makes it more economical, and the courts can deal with it much more efficiently and economically.
so what's the genesis of that? Like, if I have that $10 overcharge and I go to you or whomever to be able to do this, then what? You start the wheels to find other people who've been affected as well.
Yeah, you have to have it certified. Well, they have to turn that over to you.
Yeah, they turn it over
If you
to
go
you.
in front of the judge and you show this is a type of action that should be a class action, there are a lot of people that have the same loss. Then the judge once he certifies as a class, you're going to get that information from the company.
Yeah.
They're going to turn it over to
Through
you. So you're gonna
discovery,
it.
you'll get
now,
all
what's
that.
interesting on these class act, people think, they saw when you saw the one Facebook,
Right.
550 million.
Right.
What do you think the person who brought that class action, the person who was victimized, got out of that?
Not much.
Probably nothing, a little bit.
A little bit.
Maybe a couple of $1,000s.
Right.
It's not like, that person's getting a piece of the action.
Right.
It's not like a key tam action against, where you're a whistleblower, where you get a piece of it. You do not
But a
get
class
piece of
action,
it.
you have one plaintiff, maybe 2 or 3 plaintiffs that represent the whole class of people. Everybody that's been damaged the same way, they
Like
represent.
we had a class action against those little things you put in your car and they kind of keep that.
The tree on my mirror so the car won't smell?
No, that keeps
Yeah,
the car
exactly.
smelling.
They were deodorizers.
You have to do it, yeah, kind of like a
Right.
air
I like the
freshener.
vanilla aroma,
Air freshener.
personally.
Yeah,
That's
so
my
anyway,
personal
this lady,
favorite.
she put it on her BMW. Some of the liquid leaked out and tore up the leather.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And it was advertised as this top-notch, air
I feel
freshener.
bad for her BMW and her leather.
But you know what? A lot of people were having. I mean, you would think, oh yeah, who's heard of it? But once we got into it, there were thousands and thousands of people whose cars were damaged from this air freshener liquid.
It must protect the people with their BMWs.
Got to,
Right,
so.
they need help, like everyone else. All right, how about this one? Is it legal for ex-spouses to use the health insurance after the divorce? Is it legal for an ex-spouse to use health insurance after the divorce? How's that work out?
I think it depends on what the agreement is from the divorce. If
Depends on the company policy
in
too,
the company
right?
policy, if the health insurance doesn't, they're no longer relatives, so they may come under a different plan. But I think
Right, like if I was on my wife's health insurance and she kicked me to the curb, then we're no longer married, then I don't think she could keep me on her insurance,
Well,
right?
usually those divorce decrees determine who, like, you're going to keep up the insurance and you're going to pay the insurance for your wife for a certain period of time.
Right, but would that be a COBRA situation, or
could
like
be
would be
COBRA.
private insurance? I mean, I don't know if like the company would pay for someone who is not married to you, right? It's not family, right?
I don't know. The plan administrator would know the answer to that question.
Maybe we should call Aetna right now.
Yeah.
You think that's a good idea?
They never pay. I never call it.
What? What do you
I've
mean?
called them. They never pay any of
Oh,
my
come on.
bills.
They don't pay you your stuff?
Every time I go to the doctor, I get a bill.
All right.
I
Well,
said,
the point
I
is,
get it paid.
the point is this. I think, look, I don't have a legal degree, but I'm going to go on the record right now and say, if you're not married anymore, the insurance company's not going to cover you. They're not going to pick you up because you're not family. And it's got to come out of your pocket to be able to pay your spouse's insurance.
It depends.
Whatever way you want to do it.
If it's in the divorce decree, usually that's covered. That the husband, for instance, will pay or provide insurance policy to the wife for a certain period of time. I mean, or maybe he's giving her the money to go to get some, to get a health care plan.
Maybe as a domestic partner.
Yeah.
So you're not necessarily.
Yeah.
Well,
husband and wife.
I think it does
domestic
come
partner.
down to the company's the insurance company's
I
policy.
think Ben's right, though. I think once you divorce, you're off.
Wait, what did you say?
But there's going to be
Ben's right.
One more time.
Listen,
I didn't
he
hear
didn't
that.
get to this position.
I
Get the
heard
heck
this.
of it,
I heard
man.
Ben's right. Okay, I like it. Let's leave it right there. Okay, let's leave it right there with Ben's right. Guys, always a
All right,
pleasure.
thanks a lot. We enjoyed it.
Always fun.
I love the questions. Keep them coming.
All right, so if you have legal questions you'd like to have answered on the next show, send us an email to legallive@actionnewsjacks.com. We'll answer your questions. If we didn't get to any today, we'll get to them next time. We appreciate it. Next show in 1 month. Thanks again for watching. For Eddie Farah and Chuck Farah, I'm Ben Becker. Have a great day.
This is a paid advertisement. The opinions and views expressed belong solely to Farah and Farah and not to Action News Jacks, its employees, agents, representatives, or affiliates. This program is informational only and does not comprise legal advice. The airing of this segment is neither an endorsement nor an expression of an opinion of any kind by Action News Jacks. Thanks for watching Legal Live, sponsored by Farah and Farah, local lawyers unfiltered.